Nigeria's trade with other countries worsened in 2020, resulting in a trade deficit of 7.3 trillion naira for the year. This follows sharp declines in exports of crude oil, solid minerals, and manufactured goods. The huge trade deficit represents a 317% decline when compared to the trade surplus of 2.3 trillion naira recorded in 2019. Total trade declined by 10.3% year on year to 32.4 trillion in 2020 from 36.1 trillion in 2019. Joining us to discuss these headlines further is Arise business analyst Chika Mbona. Chika, you're very welcome. What are your thoughts on this? Let
me talk on the trade.
Yes, please.
And I'm picking on that because it speaks of so many things that we've been talking about on this program.
Yes.
And the report is on the foreign trade, export plus import. Basically, and you find that from the big picture, that the imports is about 65%, compared to the exports. If you look at combine the two together, you call that trade. And let's look at the exports.
Yes.
Now that's where the sad commentary the Nigerian economy is. Out of the exports, the mineral export is about 93%. Out of the total export, 93%. Oil out of that is about 81%. So everything is struggling for about 7%.
So 93% of the total trade mineral
export.
And then
after that, like 81%. So it tells you the kind of problem that we have in this country. When we say that, if oil sneezes, Nigerian economy catches cold. And that's the sad thing about our economy. The fact that the big picture, as I keep saying, you have our GDP, a massive GDP there. Out of that GDP, oil is about 10% of the GDP. The non-oil is about 90%. Now you move down a little, you find that oil, that is 10% of GDP, is 90% by foreign exchange, and then 50% of our revenues. So the challenge for our economy, therefore, is how to sweat the 90% that is non-oil export to contribute more to the economy. So GDP is doing very well, but the contribution to revenues and our exports and FX earnings is just disaster. That's the challenge we have in our Nigerian economy. If you piecemeal that a little further, so you find the exports are basically crude oil, solid minerals, and manufactured goods. Not surprising that you had a deficit because of the fact that this trade didn't do very well during the year.
Yes.
You already know the environment that we were coming from, whereas Nigerians continue to import, continue to import. And so you find that actually in Q4, for example, imports more than doubled our exports. And that's the tragedy of our country. We love to, the imported things, and doing
heavy
nothing,
tastes
and doing nothing to work on our exports. So exports drive is a major issue for us. And let me leave that in 1 minute and come back to 1 minute because I need to focus on that.
Of course.
But the other things that come out from this report are the fact that our Asia happens to be where we do most of our imports from. In Asia, not understandably.
Right.
And then from that Asia, of course, not surprising. You know who's number one there?
China. It's China, of course.
China. More than 50% of our imports come from Asia. You don't believe that? More than 50% of our imports come from Asia. And then from ECOWAS region, only 4% that we import from. 0.4%, not even up to 1%.
Where's work
meanwhile,
to be done there?
our neighbors there was supposed to.
Right, exactly.
I was talking about African Continental Free Trade.
Thank you. I was about to ask you that. Right.
And whereas so US, interestingly, about 8%, Netherlands, and then Denmark and India. Now, on the export side, India happens to be number one. You know why? Because of oil. They're the one in buying our oil.
Right.
Oil. And between India and South Africa, India, Spain, South Africa, and US, that's more than about 50% of our exports.
Yes.
And then, of course, the products we export, as I said before, mineral products 93%. Oil is about 81% of that. And then you have vegetables, poultry, 3.5%.
With all the agricultural
initiatives we have here.
Right.
Go to Ethiopia and go to Kenya and see the things happening. Ordinary flowers. Every day.
Valentine's Day, we had you to talk about
ordinary flowers that are moving from Ethiopia and moving from Kenya. And that's, everything, cascades down to the head economy. If you see the amount of cargo business being done by Ethiopian Airlines or Kenyan Airways, a lot of it is driven by exports. a lot of ships come into this country, and when they come in here, full. When they leave in, they leave empty. You know, and it's a problem for us. So export is a major issue for us. Africa, we export about 18% to Africa, and ECOWAS about 5%. Now, so for us, on this trade report, the takeaway for us is that the need to focus on our exports. That despite the best efforts at diversification, oil is still the king. 81% of our exports. Mineral products make it up to 93%. So 7% ordinarily, 47% is just what comes from other sectors of the economy. And therefore, there's a need for more concentrated focus on export. There's this issue. When in my engagement with central bank people, they say it's been maligned, which is the export expansion grant. But as I told them, I said, you can't throw away the baby with the bathwater.
Right.
You need to go in there with the pincers and pluck away all the ills of the grant, and so that the bona fide exporters will profit from it. And that way we expand our export in our country. I also proposed to them that I said that they should hold town hall meetings with exporters. Go through the export value chain. What are the limiting factors? What are the constraints? Because any nation that is focused on export actually goes down to the last couple, the last detail, to make sure that the exporters are treated very nicely. And all the constraints to export are removed. Otherwise,
we'll still be going over the
same figures. These figures, ratios have not changed in the last, how many years? 20 years.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, thank you for that, Chika. What do you make of, you've talked about the Orasanya reports here before.
It's lack of political will.
Right.
I think it's lack of political will to push it through. I'm aware that our president has, given the mandate to do that, but I have a feeling that the body language has not pushed it through, and we need to push that through. There's so much inefficiencies in the system, and I'm not here to condemn the civil servants or sort of that, but if you have dealt with a lot of parastatals, you know that a lot of them are doing, half of the time, operating at one-third of the capacity they're supposed to operate. And they can do more with less.
Yes.
And so our country can save money in that respect and push it to other things that we need to spend money on.
Well, what final I think about a minute ago? What do you make of this UK?
Every nation is looking for. Look at what happened. You saw Dubai.
Yes.
The UAE did something like that.
They study to job.
Every nation is looking for the best skills and best talents, because you know that you can't buy it.
So what about the fear of brain drain from Nigeria?
Why
going out
you want me? Did you see the Nigerian mathematician student who was doing farming, had a first class in mathematics? He was doing farming at Abakaleke.
So what choice does he have?
He just wants to. He wanted me to be answering Nigeria and be jobless here.
I understand.
And then because of what? So now he's been given a scholarship to go to the US. You don't want him to go, eh? You're wicked. All right, business analyst Chika Mbono. We love having you around. Chika, thank you so much. I'm trying not to be wicked. Thank you for joining us, Chika. Really appreciate your insights.